Hello. As you said, my name is Billy Dunbar. I am a CAD student at Jeffersontown High School. CAD standing for Computer Aided Drafting and Design. Now, how many of you have thought about what goes into making your car's cup holders? Yeah. Well, when I say that, I mean more than getting frustrated with your cup holder and thinking, who in the world thought that this was a great design and should go into my car? I mean like the actual process about how they came up with the ideas and exactly how their ideas got from their head to your car. Now, that's a bit of an obscure thought. I don't know about you, but I know I haven't really thought about that very much until Ford came to Jeffersontown High School with this challenge: to design a cup holder that will hold the largest variety of different sizes and types of beverage containers. Now, the engineering students at Jeffersontown High School didn't just go straight from, all right, cool, I have an idea, and then just make it. We did follow a process that made things a lot simpler, the design process. And it really is pretty simple. The first step to it is to define the problem. You can't really fix a problem if you don't know what you're fixing. Now, luckily, Ford did this for us. People are upset with their cup holders. Pretty simple. The second thing that we need to do is collect information. We need to, get sketches, take photographs, gather data, just anything that you can do to collect information about the problem, so that way you can get an idea of how to fix it. Once again, Ford did this for us. They made things pretty simple to begin with. They gave us this list, they gave us another list, they just threw all of the complaints that they got at us, and it's a bit to deal with. So what we made was known as a fishbone diagram. From this, we worked to find out what the problems were that were causing the problem. This works by laying out what the problem is, what we're trying to fix, and then we list the complaints. And from the complaints, we find out why people might be making these complaints. And once we have all of this, it's a lot easier to move on to the next step, to brainstorm and analyze ideas. Here, you start to make connections between the problems. You start to put everything together and just study what the problems might be in order to understand what might be the issue and how you could go about fixing it. Now, with our ideas, we started out by making hand-drawn sketches. These sketches aren't very good. Honestly, I can hardly write my own name legibly most of the time. So, for your convenience, I redrew these up in the computer. Now, this is the cup holder, sort of. I'll get back to that in a bit. So, what this does is, the first thing you might notice is the big long bit coming out of the bottom. Some of your cars may have this, some of yours may not. It's actually surprising how many cars cannot accommodate mugs. That's a big problem, because a lot of people still use just normal ceramic mugs from their house when they're going out, or they'll have travel mugs that have handles on them. And it's pretty frustrating when you can't travel with your travel mug. So this common feature, which is often left out of a lot of cup holders, I implemented. Another thing that you might notice are the long little bits sticking out in the middle, the little rubber fingers. Again, a feature that a lot of cars may have, but a lot don't. And when they don't, that allows smaller cups to rattle around or fall over inside of them. If you have a narrower cup, you may as well just hold on to it or have someone else hold on to it if you have a big cup holder with no supports. Another thing that you might notice is the little rings in the middle of it, or if you're looking at the section view, a little divot. Another complaint that people often gave was that it was hard to reach in to get their cups if it was a short cup, or if it was a short cup with a lid, that the lid might pop off when it goes into there from, not fitting in. So that is also another solution to it. Now, when I said that this is the cup holder, sort of, this is why. A lot of you, when you think of a cup holder, you will think of a cutout in your console that you put your drink in. This actually goes into that cutout. So this is a secondary cup holder, woohoo. The first one that we have, that's the one you'll normally use, but it's removable. And this solves two problems. The first problem is people with cups or drinks that are just way too big. If it doesn't fit in the normal one, it should fit in this. And if it doesn't fit in this, it shouldn't go in a cup holder. And another thing that it fixes is cleaning. A lot of you that will know that cup holders get really nasty really easily. And it's a lot easier to get them dirty than it is to get them clean. Because even if you were to take a wet rag out to your car and just wipe around in there, it doesn't get things completely clean. It's frustrating. It's uncomfortable. You don't want to do that. Or many of you may have cup holders with a little mat on the bottom, a little rubber mat that you can take out. The thing is, though, is what if you take that out and, now the bottom of that is dirty. Or, it's just difficult to get in and out. There are a lot of cars with those little rubber mats. You may as well just leave them in forever because you're not getting them out. And if you get them out, you're not getting them back in. So instead of doing that, just remove the whole cup holder. You can bring that in, wash it in your house, run it through the dishwasher, clean it in the sink, whatever, and you can bring it back into your car, perfectly clean cup holder, easy. Now this part retains some of the same features as the same features as the previous cup holder, because it's the same thing but bigger. It's just what the last one goes into. So really any feature this has, the last one had, except for size. This one has more size. Now another thing is placement. A lot of cars will have their cup holders placed weird. This is one. But the reason for this is because a lot of the complaints that people had were, when I get into a car and I have a passenger, we don't really pay attention to where we put our drinks. And if you had a cup holder where a car with a cup holder is one in front of the other, if you're not paying attention, you can get confused, don't know whose is whose. With this, you have one cup holder closer to each person. All right, so why not just have a normal horizontal side-to-side cup holder? Well, with that, there's not enough room. These are large designs. They wouldn't be able to fit next to each other. And honestly, if we did that, they would have to share a little mug handle bit, which if you do that, great, you have mugs, but you can only fit one. And the other one, you have to have a cup. So if two people have mugs, sorry. But with this, you have room for each, you don't have to share, and there's no confusion as to whose is whose. So with all of these ideas together, we can move on to the next step, to develop solutions or to build a model. So with this, you take all of the ideas that you got from the previous step, and you just put it together and make something. So from here, I created a 3D model of what it would look like done. We made the entire console because that's what Ford wanted. I'm focusing on the cup holder for this presentation, but we had to make the whole thing. So with this, if you'll, all right. Oh, I pressed the wrong button, that's why, sorry. So with this, you can just see how things are, where they slot together, and just where everything is. So after you have that, the next step is to gather feedback, because nothing is perfect the first go around, unless you're just a god, but that's just, I'm sorry. So from here, you present your ideas to as many people that you can. You want to get as many ideas. You want to know what's wrong. Sometimes it hurts getting feedback, being told where you're wrong, but when it comes to this, you want to know everything you're doing wrong so you can do it right. Now, a lot of the feedback I got can be just summed up by this picture. So with this, one of the big complaints is that it's ugly. Now that's not because of the design, that's because of the medium. With this, seriously, just laser cut some wood and stacked it on top of each other. But the real problems with the design is that it is too small. The whole point that I wanted to make was that it was large enough to fit a lot of cups, but could still hold smaller cups. You see, here, it doesn't fit. That's because of the little ridge that I was talking about earlier, which we also found out when working with this is useless. If you have a really small cup, seriously, I took like a really small plastic cup, cut it down to where it was basically a ridiculously short size. You can still get it out fine because of the mug cutout. So I just removed that. There's no point for that. And also with the little bit the mug goes into, this is an average sized mug with a pretty thin handle. That still fits kind of snugly. So we need to widen that out, make that longer. So once we have all of our feedback together, we have to improve. We have to take all of the feedback that we got, reflect on it, and decide what changes need to be made in the final step. Now, this is the final product, or at least part of it. This shows how things fit a lot better, looks a lot better too, 3D printed. If you'll give me a moment, I'll actually come up. I have the final versions or final prototypes done. I'll just walk around up there real quick to show people in the first few rows what it looks like in person. I'm not done. But from here, when you have So you have all of it done, and this step, honestly, can be repeated over and over again. Things aren't perfect when you think they are. Things are usually never done. There's always more that can be done. You can decide that you're finished on a project, but this final step, you can always improve. You can go through this step over and over again, get feedback, and improve. This is just where I decided to stop. You can stop whenever you want. But this process can be used for everything. This design process isn't just for creating products or manufacturing. This can be used for anything that you want to make something for, whether it be a cup holder, whether it be a logo, whether it be a piece of artwork. Anything that you want to do, you can use this for. This is so effective because it's a thing that we do naturally. That's why it's so simple. When you want to design something, you usually start out figuring what's wrong, then you go on to thinking, how can you fix it? And then you try to fix it. The reason that I'm showing this to you today is because it's a lot easier when you do it on purpose. When you have a deliberate, step-by-step process, you know what to do. You know where to work with. You know how you can do things. And with this, you can just apply it to anything. So am I supposed to go for questions now? All right, if anyone has any questions, just come up to the mic. I can answer anything that you want to know.